Hi guys, it's Rachel and welcome back to another weekly reading vlog. This week's reading vlog is following on from last week's reading vlog in the terms of it's like the counterpart. Last week all I did was read books off my Kindle TBR, and this week all I'm doing is reading books off my physical TBR. If you didn't know, my challenge for 2025 is to get rid of every single book off my physical TBR that was on my physical TBR prior to 2025 starting. So I think my total at the beginning of 2025 was a total of 34 books, which in the grand scheme of things, with a lot of other booktubers, that isn't that many. But for me, I just want a clean slate. I don't want books on my physical TBR that have been there for 3-4 years that I just no longer want to read. So in this vlog I may also purge my physical TBR and truly get rid of books I just know that I will not read or get around to anytime soon and just have no interest in anymore because they've been on my TBR for 2+ maybe even 3 years. So that's where we're at. It is Monday. I'm excited to delve into this week's reading vlog because although this book that I'm about to start isn't on my March TBR and it's a very new addition to my physical TBR, it still technically is on my physical TBR, so I'm going to start with it first. It is a new release, it's just come out, and it's Holly Bourne's brand new book. I think I've read 2 previous Holly Bourne books. I've read Pretending by Holly Bourne, which I gave a 5 stars, and on a reread I bumped it down ever so slightly to a 4.5, but still an excellent read. And I recently, as of 2 years ago, read Girlfriends by Holly Bourne and giving it a 5 star and topping Pretending by Holly Bourne. So I'm super excited to get to So Thrilled for You by Holly Bourne. Can I say Holly Bourne one more time? Holly Bourne! Because this one basically sounds like Olive, my favourite book of all time by Emma Gannon, with a plot twist of a baby shower going wrong and one of the 4 friends setting a fire. So it just sounds like it's a contemporary, but it's also some sort of mystery, and I'm just really excited. I'll read the blurb to you very quickly because it just sounds so intriguing. It says, an intense heat wave, a high-stakes baby shower will all end in tears. Nikki, Lauren, Charlotte and Steffi have been friends since university. Now in their 30s, life is pulling them in different directions, but when Charlotte organises the baby shower from hell for pregnant Nikki, the girls are reunited. Under the sparkling hot summer sun, tensions rise, and by the end of the day, nothing will ever be the same. Someone starts a fire at the house, and everyone's a suspect. Is it Steffi, happily child-free but feeling judged by her friends? Is it Charlotte, desperate to conceive and jealous of those who have? Is it Lauren, who's finding motherhood far harder than she imagined? Or is it Nikki herself, who never wanted a baby shower anyway? In the aftermath, the police put together the facts, but the truth will shock everyone, even you. And it says Big Little Lies meets Expectations in an incredible new novel by Holly Bourne. It's a book you'll want to read 3 times and then give to every woman in your life. It sounds so good. It sounds like a perfect vibe of what I want right now because my favourite genre is the contemporary women's chick lit, women's figuring out their lives, but also the added element of this plot twist and this fire and the hot summer really intrigues me and is going to give me that like other new dynamic to a contemporary book that I haven't really read from before. So I'm really excited to delve into this one. The second book on my radar for this week is another book on my physical TBR, obviously, because that's what we're reading this week, but it's off my 2025 TBR as well, and that is Next to You by Hannah Birmingham, which also completes a series for me. This is the second book in the Next of Kin duology by Hannah Birmingham, and it'll be the last Hannah Birmingham book that I'll need to read until I'm all caught up until her latest release, which is yet to be announced, I assume, because she hasn't announced anything yet since Out of the Woods has just come out, but I've already read it. This is the last Hannah Birmingham book that I'll need to read, and I'm really excited to get to it, and I think it'll be a nice kind of a palette cleanser compared to like this kind of more heavy, dense, thought-provoking contemporary women's fiction book. This will be a nice romance to delve into. And like I said, I would like to try and read 3 books this week. So this is on my March TBR, but this book is also on my March TBR, and this is the book that is on my 2025 TBR. And so I will be taking off another one. All of these books are quite chunky though. So this is People We Keep by Alison Larkin, which I've been intrigued to read for years now. And it basically follows a main character called April who wants to escape the small town that she's lived in and wants to kind of become a singer. And it basically is about that. And I've been intrigued to read it for years and I'm really excited to delve into it. But my main focus is So Thrilled for You by Holly Bourne, and then Next to You. And if I have time, I will jump into the People We Keep. So that's my TBR for the week. It's a chunky TBR, but I'm so excited to delve into this one. If I try and read this in like 3 to 4 days, I'll need to read over 100 pages a day because it is a 400-page book. But I just have a feeling I might absolutely adore this one, and Now I know that it's Holly Bourne and the synopsis sounds so intriguing, it could be a 5-star prediction. So I'll keep you posted. Happy Monday. Let's get into reading. I've just finished work for the day, which I'm very excited about because that means I can actually focus on reading for the evening. Chloe's going live on a channel for Patreons at 7, so I'm going to join that and hopefully get a good chunk of reading in for So Thrilled for You. But I was like, if I don't find an audiobook this week, I don't think I'm going to be able to finish the 3 books I want to finish and get like ahead of my TBR, because the 2 books I read in last week's vlog, if you haven't seen it, I'll link it up above and down below. Neither of them are on my March TBR, so I haven't actually been able to tick off any books from my March TBR yet. So I really want, and obviously So Thrilled for You isn't my March TBR either. So I was like, which books are on my March TBR that I have an audiobook for? I have Everand and I pay for Audible, so I do have some variety in terms of audiobooks I can listen to. But I didn't realise, I don't think many of Hannah Young's books are on Everand, but Next to You is, if you can see that. So that might be my audiobook pick for the week whilst I drive to and from work, which I'm actually really excited for, because I think So Thrilled for You and Next to You are very different in synopsis. I'm not going to get them confused. And then by the end of the week, hopefully I'll finish those 2 and I can start People We Keep to try and get some books off my physical TBR and off my March TBR as well. So that's the current plan. I'm about to go chuck dinner in the oven. It's salmon on creek tonight, so all I have to do is basically chuck it in the oven for like 55 minutes and then get some veg boiling near the time. So whilst I wait for Mark to get home from work, I am going to start. I've taken the dash jacket off, I'm ready, the bookmark is in. I'm going to start, where's that? You can't really see it because it's black on black. So Thrilled for You by Holly Bourne. I'm so excited. I'm such a Kindle girly now that it's so weird to be reading a physical book. I feel like I'm gonna get a hand cramp, but here goes. I'm so excited. It is now Tuesday evening, so I thought I'd come in with a quick reading update for you all. I am in the middle of 2 books. So yesterday I started So Thrilled for You by Holly Bourne. I'm liking this book for sure. It just hasn't really grasped my attention as much as I thought it would so far, but I'm only 74 pages into it. I wanted to get a little bit further last night, but I was so tired. I fell asleep really quickly. Rather than like reading in bed for half hour, I read in bed for like 15 minutes. And it's also quite a dense book. There's a lot of information. There are 4 main character perspectives, each chapter following a different character. So it's just kind of like a very dense book to read, even though it is your like contemporary. It's just got these like heavier topics. So far, my favourite perspective is Nikki, who is currently pregnant and is the one that's about to have the baby shower. Charlotte is her best friend who is planning the baby shower for her, and she is the one who's struggling with infertility. And then her 2 other friends both have kids of their own and are both struggling in their own ways, and they haven't seen each other for ages, but they're getting back together for this baby shower. And then I assume one of them starts the fire. I want predictions right now. I'm going to say it's... Who's the one really struggling? Lauren. Lauren is really struggling with postpartum depression. I have a feeling it could be her, but I think that's too obvious. So we'll see. I'm hoping to read another like 50 to 100 pages tonight of this. Fingers crossed. It's not giving me 5-star feelings just yet, but like I said, I'm only like less than 100 pages into a 400-page book, so we'll see on that one. And then the book I started this morning on my commute to work as an audiobook because I found out that it was on Scribd yesterday, like I showed you guys, and that was Next to You by Hannah Young. And I'm enjoying this audiobook, and what I'm really enjoying about this book is that it's single perspective of a romance. I find it really rare these days to get a single perspective romance. I feel a lot of times they are dual perspective, but we're just following our female character Lane in this book, and Lane is really struggling with anxiety. She has a lot of anxiety. Her father passed away when she was little, and she's struggled to move on from there. She's much more of a home comfort body person. She doesn't like to go out very often, but she does have 3 really close friends, and she's just turned 27 and she has a big celebration, and her closest friend is it Chloe? Chloe and Warren from the first book, Next of Kin, feature a lot in this book because they are best friends, and the main love interest, Mateo, aka Matt, is Warren's best friend, and they run the car garage together, which it features a lot in the first book. And And in this one, Jane randomly decides to buy a school bus with her father's inheritance money that she'd got left, because she always knew that he'd want her to spend it on something joyful rather than like education or something meaningful. He just wanted them to enjoy their lives. So she spontaneously, whilst drunk after her 27th birthday party, decides to buy a school bus to renovate, and she pulls in Matteo's help to help her renovate because he works at the car garage. And it's only just getting to that point, they've just gone and picked up the school bus, so none of the renovations have happened yet, but you can definitely see some sort of sexual chemistry starting, but we definitely haven't got too much yet. They're both very much in the friend zone currently, so I do feel this might be quite a slow burn, quite a nice, easy kind of like, quite a nice like steady paced romance, and I'm really intrigued to continue on with this. I am 94 pages into this, so very good progress. We're just listening to it to and from work today, and I'll listen to more of it across the week. But yeah, just gonna listen to this one and not touch it physically. So now Mark is watching some YouTube downstairs. I am going to continue reading So Thrilled for You by Holly Bourne and see how far I can get into it. It's now Wednesday afternoon. If you recognise this background, then you are one of the OGs. I am now just coming up to halfway through So Thrilled for You by Holly Bourne, and unfortunately I'm not getting that 5-star feeling. I'm not loving this book that much. I definitely think it's my least favourite Holly Bourne adult book that I've read so far. I've only read Pretending and then Girlfriends, and then this one. I think this is only my third adult book by her, but I was so intrigued by the synopsis, and I am still really intrigued by the synopsis. We've been introduced to the 4 characters. I definitely have preferences on which perspective I enjoy. I'm not particularly liking Steffi's perspective at this current time. She is the child-free character in this story. Not loving her perspectives. I find them very selfish, and I understand where her thoughts and feelings are coming from, and they're obviously very valid, but it's just like not personally my favourite perspective to read from. And then we have the other 3 characters, Charlotte, who is really struggling with fertility. Then you have Nikki, who is pregnant, who baby shower is for. And then you have Lauren, who is really struggling with postpartum depression, and her little son called Woody. She's really struggling. So I much prefer those 3 characters. I think they're more dynamic and they're more interesting. We've got to the baby shower, but the fire thing hasn't really started yet, but you're getting snippets of police interviews, which for the time being I don't really feel like add anything to the story. It's a very densely written story, and I'm not really sure how that is, because yes, the topics that Holly Bourne is discussing are quite kind of like intimate and in depth, obviously about infertility, struggling to conceive, not wanting to have kids, being child free, and then having kids. There's a lot of like complexities and depth to those specific subjects, but I feel like this book shouldn't be that hard to read because it's contemporary. It just feels very heavy to read. It takes a long time to read. The chapters are long, which doesn't help my reading pace. So I'm a little bit behind my planned reading schedule, but I'm hoping to smash out a lot more over today and tomorrow to try and get this book finished. But we'll see. It's feeling like a 3.5, potentially 4-star. I'm definitely not getting those 5-star feelings. It depends on the second half of the book, when the fire starts happening, and kind of like what drama kind of goes down from there. So I feel like there's a lot of pent up energy between the friends. They're 4 friends. They got really, really close at university. They found their niche at university. They found each other at a really difficult point of their lives when they're trying to discover who they were. And then obviously they've hit their 30s and everyone's going off in different directions, and they're struggling with their friendship group again. So there's a lot of like bound up tension. There's a lot of like stress within the friendship group. There's a lot of like fractures that are about to like crumble, and I'm enjoying the friendship dynamic because it's really interesting to see how they kind of like perceive each other without really knowing the full story, because they have lost that sort of connection, and they don't talk as much anymore. So I'm intrigued to see when all the fractures break and what actually what gets let loose and what happens and who starts the fire. Like, I'm intrigued to keep reading, but I'm definitely not like loving this book, sadly. So I'll keep you posted. But yeah, 50% of the way through this one, and we'll see how we get going. It is now Friday, and my I would love to read 3 books this week isn't seeming that possible anymore. I am up to page 100, 221 in Next to You by Hannah Bowen Young. So I'm over halfway through this one. This is my least favourite Hannah Bowen Young book. I just don't feel connected to the characters. I don't really get their romance. They were friends before, and as they're renovating Lane's school bus that she randomly brought on a whim, you're meant to get this like chemistry between the two of them, and then things start to happen because they spend so much time together. But for me, it just doesn't feel very believable, and I'm not loving this book, unfortunately. It's feeling like a 3-star, which is really sad. I was wanting to get it finished today, but I still have like 3 hours left of the audiobook, so don't think that's going to happen. And then I am... how many pages? 215, so it's a very similar page count into So Feel For You by Holly Bourne. Enjoying this one a lot more, but it's just taking me a lot of brain power and willpower to read because I haven't had time to read. I've always been really tired in the evening, so I haven't wanted to read. I've just wanted to watch Drive to Survive and the new season of Reacher on Amazon Prime with Mark. Those are our 2 shows at the minute. Drive to Survive, we're still getting through. We're also still getting through Reacher, but Formula One, the new season starts this weekend, which I'm so excited for. So yeah, reading in the evenings hasn't been a priority because I just wanted to watch the 2 TV shows that we're on in the middle of, and that's absolutely fine. So if I still only read 2 books this week, that would be great. So I'm not going to try and pressure myself to try and finish these books so I can start another one just for the sake of a vlog. I just really wanted to try and get 3 books off a physical TBR this week, but that hasn't really happened. But what I do want to do with you quickly now is actually purge my physical TBR trolley. I know there are definitely some books on there that I just know that I'll never get around to. Either I've tried to read them before, I've soft DNF'd them, but it's been a couple of years and I still haven't gone back to them. Or there are books just on there that I brought on a whim, not really knowing what I was getting myself into, and I just have no interest in reading them anymore. So we're going to do a little bit of a purge. I don't think there's going to be too many books to get rid of because, like I said, I only have like, what is it, just around 30 books on my physical TBR. I think I have about 31. There really isn't going to be that many books to get rid of because most of the books on my physical TBR I do want to read. I'm just becoming such a Kindle girly that all I want to do is read on my Kindle. And I have massively noticed this week, which is kind of why I wanted to do only reading Kindle books one week and only reading physical books the next week. See what my reading pace is like. And it's definitely a lot harder to read physical books just because this is like such first world problems. Taking them out of your bag or just carrying them around with you. I went for a hospital appointment on Wednesday, and carrying a physical hardback is so much more effort than just chucking a Kindle in your bag. And it's like, and then reading it on the train, if I didn't get a seat, I couldn't read. Whereas if I was standing on the train, I could just easily take my Kindle out and still read just as easily. So there are so many pros for me at the minute for reading on my Kindle. So reading physical books is a lot more kind of mentally draining for me at the minute because all I want to do is read on my Kindle, which is absolutely fine. But like I said, there are like just over 30 books on my physical TBR that are to read, and I want to get read by the end of this year. I want my physical TBR from before 2025 to be completely clear. So that being said, let's do a little bit of purge. I'm not going to show you all of my physical TBR because I did a video of that right at the beginning of the year, which I'll link up above and down below if you want to see all the books on my physical TBR. I'm just going to pull out some that I really think I'm no longer going to get around to at all, and just kind of like on my physical TBR just for the sake of it, collecting dust. So let's have a quick purge and get rid of some books, which I'm actually really excited for. So this is what my physical TBR looks like, and right off the bat, I'm going to unhaul The Lock-In by Phoebe Luckhurst. I've tried to read this twice now. Chloe managed to slog herself through it and she gave it a 2-star. And I'm not interested in reading this book anymore. So that's going in the unhaul pile. I'm also going to unhaul A Spark of Light by Jodi Picoult, which I've tried to read twice again. And I just don't think this book is for me. I can't bother to read it. It's been sat on my TBR, I want to say, for like 3 years now, and I still haven't got around to it. So I think that's a good sign to finally get rid of it. Keep. So that's fine. Second row. Oh, it's tricky. Keep, because this was a gift. Although I have tried to read it, I need to give it another go because it was a gift. I want to give this a go because it's the, what's it called? The Inheritance, Dark Inheritance, which is a YA, which I feel like might come in handy if I just want like a palette cleanser from all the romances I tend to read. This is on Kindle Unlimited and it is downloaded on my Kindle, but being able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone when I finally get this off my physical TBR because I read it on my Kindle is going to be a good day that day, so I'm going to keep it. I was going to unhaul this. This is The Invisible Library, but I've recently seen someone on a reading vlog read this and really highly rate it, so it's going to stay on there for now. I'm going to keep. I think this is going to be a good summer book. Keep. This was a gift by Emily, which is one of her favourite books, so keep to read and keep. Let's go back to the back of the TBR trolley, if I can turn it around. I really don't have many books on my TBR, as you can see. I only have one down here, keeping that one. This is the book cover for So Thrilled For You, which obviously I'm keeping. I'm going to all unhaul If You Still Recognise Me by Cynthia So. I've tried to read this twice now. It's a YA. I just really don't feel like this book is for me anymore, and I feel like it deserves to be in a better home. So I'm going to unhaul this one. So that's 3 books. I'm going to keep this. This will be a fun summer read. My mum gifted this to me for my job promotion, so I should get around to reading this one. Need to read this one. I love Sarah Adams, and this is also a gift from Emily, so we'll be keeping and reading that one as well. So that's my physical TBR. Only getting rid of 3, but that will mean now my physical TBR is in the 20s. Yay! So I'm going to quickly show you guys me filling in the books I've just unhauled in my reading journal, just to tick some things off and feel accomplished. Down to 27. So now I have exactly 27 on my physical TBR and 27 on my Kindle TBR, which doesn't seem too bad, to be fair. Like, I'm pretty tough with that. It makes me excited. That little, like, I know it's only 3 books, but that little, like, purge of just some physical books that I know I'm not going to read anymore, and just clearing a little bit of my physical TBR and only having 27 books left to read from it, with 2 more probably coming out by the end of this week, because I'm in the middle of Next to You, and So Thrilled For You isn't on here, but I'm also going to still try and read The People We Keep, even at least start it. So I could potentially get at least number 1 or 2 books off this week, which means we'll be down to 25 books on my physical TBR, which is really crazy, really exciting. And I'm just ready for my physical TBR to not be the same books year after year after year after year. Whether I'll end up buying any more physical books this year, because I'm really struggling to buy physical books. I go into bookstores and I'm just not inclined to buy any, and I think that is truly because I'm in such a Kindle era of my life right now. It's easy for me, the books are cheaper, I can collect as many books as I want without feeling daunted by the amount of books I have, because they're not collecting dust and taking up space in my home, which is small enough as it is. And obviously my bookshelves are getting very full, so the less physical books I own, the better at the minute. So it's just really exciting to be almost down to 25 books on my physical TBR. I'm sure that many of those 25 books are going to be highly rated, and it's not a thing of like I'm never going to buy any physical books ever again. It's just that in this phase of my life, I am 90% prioritizing my Kindle, and therefore reaching for physical books is a lot harder for me. So it just makes me really excited that a lot of books have been on my physical TBR for 2, 3, maybe potentially even 4 years. I'm just looking through, maybe not 4 years, but at least 3 years are like gonna get gone this year, which is really, really exciting. So ramble over, I should probably go and read, but I'm not really feeling in the mood to read in a minute. So I'll keep posted and I'll let you know once I've read something. It's now the following Monday, and I'm getting very, very good at not ending the vlogs when I should. But this vlog didn't go as successfully as I wanted it to. I still read 2 books, but I was really trying to get 3 off my physical TBR this week. But 2 is still better than none. So in this vlog, obviously I read So Thrilled For You by Holly Bourne and Next to You by Hannah Byrne Young, both in the contemporary kind of genre. This one more a contemporary mystery, thought-provoking deep dive into motherhood and the struggles of all dynamics of motherhood, whether you're child-free, whether you have a child and you're suffering postpartum depression, whether you're struggling to conceive but really wanting to be a mother, or whether you're just in the midst of being pregnant. This book kind of covers all of those topics, and it was a very, very dense read. Overall, I gave it a 3-star. I'm so sad about this one because I really thought it was going to be a 5-star with the trajectory of Holly Bourne's previous adult books I've read, but this one sadly just didn't hit the spot for me. I just think, I don't know what it was with this book. I think it was more me and the timing that I read this book, more so than the actual book itself. I have a feeling if I read this book in a couple of years, when I become a mother, when I have a child, and I can truly understand where all these characters are coming from, I think I'm going to have a better understanding, because the 5-star that I've given Holly Bourne before is Girlfriends, and that is all about friendships in your 20s when you lose touch with one another and you come back together and you rekindle something that you once truly loved. And that I really connected to, because I've had that happen with my best friend. We lost contact We came back together 3 years later and we've never been stronger. So I really connected to that book on like a personal level. And I think that's where this book was lacking for me. I just didn't really connect to it on a personal level. I enjoyed the kind of like mystery in terms of like who started the fire. I want to say I had some predictions right, but at the end of the day, I didn't guess the overall ending of this book completely correctly. But I was a little bit like, oh, is that it? I was expecting something more. I know this isn't a mystery thriller. This is definitely a contemporary book with a side plot of like this intrigue. But I was expecting more from this like grand reveal that we were leading up to for 400 pages at the end. And I just didn't get that. So for me, it was a good book. It was a fine book. But it's not an unhaul because, like I said, I want to give this book another try once I'm in the mindset of these 4 women, once I understand what they're truly all going through, or at least 2 of them are going through, and truly understand and kind of get a better perspective. So I'm going to keep this book for now, and maybe in like, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years or something, I will reread this book and it will be a 5-star because I read it at the right time. But unfortunately right now I think I read it at the wrong time. And then the other book, this is why the reading really didn't go to plan this week, because the other book I fell head over heels in love with, and I'm really sad about this one as well. These potentially both had like good 5-star prediction vibes with them. Both of them getting 3-star. I rated Next to You by Hannah Boehm-Young also a 3-star. This is also my lowest Hannah Boehm-Young book. I was enjoying it at the beginning, but overall I got bored by the end. I really just didn't care about this romance. I didn't care about the story. I didn't care about the plot. I didn't care about the characters. I don't know, none of this book really grabbed my attention. I just didn't care about any of it. It is a fine romance, it is cute, it is friends to lovers, where Lane obviously renovates her school bus that she randomly buys of her dad's inheritance, and she gets Mateo, who is Warren's best friend from the first book, Next of Kin, to help renovate this school bus with her, and sparks start flying. Well, that's what I hoped. And for me, the chemistry, the connection wasn't there with the 2 main characters. And there were so many moments where there was like the one bed trope, and there were like moments of intimacy where it's just the 2 of them, where so much sexual tension could have happened, and I felt like it was just lacking. I don't know, maybe it's just coming off Elle Kennedy, where I really feel like she really excels in the sexual chemistry, in the smut, and that this is a lot of fade to black. And maybe I just like a little bit more juice. I don't know, but this book was fine for me. I can't say it's because of that, because I've loved Hannah Boehm-Young's previous books. The only difference with my reading experience with Out of the Woods, Out on a Limb, Next of Kin is I read them all with my eyeballs. I read them purely as physical books. This was the first time that I attempted Hannah Boehm-Young's books as an audiobook. And I don't want to say it was the narration's fault, but it could well be the narration's fault. And if I'd read this with my eyeballs and had my own voices of the characters in my head, maybe I would have enjoyed this book more. But I didn't get the chemistry of the characters. I didn't get their relationship via the audiobook, and sadly this book ended up being a 3-star. Not a bad book, definitely I think more of a me issue this past week with both of these books. Wrong timing, wrong format. So unfortunately this reading vlog wasn't as successful as I wanted it to be. But we are back next week with another reading vlog, and I will start that one as soon as I finish this one because it is Monday. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a massive thumbs up and subscribe down below to see future content from me. I do weekly reading vlogs, monthly TBRs, monthly wrap-ups, any other push content that you can think of. I usually have on my channel, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.